It says you are live, so I guess I am. Sorry, I'm 2 minutes late. The PC disconnected itself from the voice thing. But anyway, okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to, excuse me, to my daily plan. Well, I'm going to go over the update of what I see heading into the day today. Okay, so a couple quick observations. Yesterday, we kind of had. Where can I find yesterday here? Let's do it this way. Yesterday, we opened up above that, right near that 50 level. And once we got over 55, if you remember from my daily plan, I imagine you might have been following it. Over 55 opened the door upward because we had that massive 3275 customer long dealer short call structure. And as we know, dealer short becomes a potential magnet. Once we got there, we stalled out. They lost deltas. And then as we broke down back below that level, oh, look at that, 62.55. The level we broke down below, wide range bar down, bottoming pattern right above the 62.30, 35. 62.35 was the inflection point, and we undercut it a little bit, shot back up. At that point, I opportunistically added a bunch of short puts bigly, put credit spreads. I was already in some. They were a little bit red underwater. I had confidence because of the setup, and I added bigly, got lots of juice, and that was nice. Got some flies up in this area. Monetized the first round of flies in the morning, and I showed you the flies on here on live stream. It's not like this is like a big secret. And then I missed the pin at the end of the day because I didn't expect the 65. I thought that we would stall at 60. But we had that mechanical bid up here at the end of the day as these calls went, as the 60 calls went in the money, like we were hovering right below there. In the last 15 minutes, they went in the money, and whoosh, there we went. Hopefully, guys that are listening understand what that means. If not, maybe we'll do an educational post somewhere. We did one yesterday for my premium subscribers. And maybe that'll be public release at some point in the distant future. Okay, so where are we now? That's great. That's ancient history, Doc. What have you done for me lately? Okay, so here we are. And for today, we have a pretty narrow straddle. Let me pull up my numbers over here, just so I could like sing along from the same song sheet. Great, I can't find it. All right, give me 1 second. One of these days I'll come in completely prepared to work, but that's probably no time soon. Give me 1 second. Discuss amongst yourselves. Why can't I find it? See that? I know how to find it. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, everybody. Type something in the chat. Where do you think we're going to pin? There we go. Okay. That's it. Now I remember. Okay, so I talked about that. As everybody knows, I would hope Liberation Day 3.0 is now August 1st because 2.0, which was yesterday, that can was kicked down the road again. And I think Val Siggs tweeted and a few other people mentioned there's a chart from Barclays that I retweeted as well, showing that if you look at the volatility at the pricing, the big, the larger hump in the vol surface is out next week or the week after for FOMC and CPI, GDP, and up until then, the vol surface is relatively muted. So we have jobless claims today, CPI the 15th, I believe. GDP is on the 30th, along with FOMC. I might be off by a day. Check it yourself. Bank earnings kick off on the 30th. Excuse me, on the 16th, or maybe I think on the 16th. Now we had Delta reporting today, officially kicking off earnings season, whatever that means. Okay, so here we are at 55, good level to look at to kind of start where we might be. So yesterday's high and low of the day, always good reference points. We're down here at 60 to 30 ish, and up here at 65 ish. So those are kind of the quick mental pivots. If you're a premium seller like me, you'll be looking below that at least and above that at least. And then we're going to look at the options depth, and we're going to look at some of the other gamma services, gamma data providers, to kind of tweak where those levels might be. All right. I talk fast because I think fast. For extra credit, who said that? Time's up. The Wolf. For extra credit, where's the Wolf? What movie is that from? Time's up again. Pulp Fiction. Okay. So the 5-day straddle range last week was 61.85. Let me show you this. Was here. And if you look, we're right in the straddle range. Why do we care about the straddle range? Well, that's kind of where the options markets, all the gurus and algos and people that are smarter than me think we're going to go, or what the expected move is. And so far, we're respecting the straddle. Last week, we kind of closed right above it. And we tend to do that when we form new zones. So we're in the middle of the straddle. Even though the straddle for today, if you look at the Friday straddle for today, as I pointed out in my note, the straddle range for Friday is now 62.20, 63.05. So right now, the straddle range for Friday is kind of narrow. So basically, here, 62.20 and 63.05 is the straddle range. Might I look at doing some kind of fly or some kind of iron condor or calendar around those levels? Yeah, maybe. I'll probably do that for the premium subscribers or for the paid subscribers. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll do it here on live. Did you say sell? Oh, I'm sorry. Below. I misspoke. Sell below. Obviously, we want to sell below these round numbers, and we'll get to the options depth, and we'll see a little more granularly where might be the good levels to sell. And thank you for participating yesterday in the premium chat. You had some great questions. Okay, so that's basically where we are. So the main OI clusters, and we're going to look at that right now. I'm going to shift gears. If I can find the gear to shift to. Okay, it's as good a gear as any. We're going to shift gears, and this is the options depth profile. Now we're going to look at a few other providers too. So what's going on here? And let's talk about, you guys know I'm a iron condor seller. That's no secret. People have called me the goat of iron condors, and I do have goats, so maybe that's it, because I don't know if I'm the greatest of all time, but I make a living. Um, so this 6220 market maker long, where we might stall, would be where I would first blush think of without even looking at the premiums. If I can get below 6200 round number, even better. Remember, 6220 is the bottom of the straddle range for Friday. So that gives us a little extra conviction. And we got this cluster here for today. I don't know if I have Friday here. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Oh, great. I was looking at the wrong thing. My bad. That was Friday. Scratch that. For today, it looks very different. 6225, though, same difference. I'm going to have to rewrite that plan. People are going to get a new plan emailed to them, and I'll post it all over the place on the updated one on X and on Discord or whatever. My bad, I had the wrong date. That's kind of whatever. Let's see how much it changes. So 6225, I still want to sell below that. However, if we go below this, so here's our stall on the way down. We're at the inflection point. So some of these numbers are the same. We're at the inflection point. Kind of stall. Maybe I wasn't off. Stall. I was just looking at the wrong thing here. Stall, grind down to here. If 25 breaks, and we got this market maker long gamma that could pull us down into the six. No, it was right. It was right. I guess I had a different view. 6200 stall, of course, round number. Another layer of protection down at 6190. Here we have this fly-looking structure, but that's not going to materialize. Why is it a fly-looking? Wing, wing, center. Wing, wing, center. Do we have any interesting looking flies here for today? Well, if over this 55 pivot area and we can grind through this, yesterday's high, take out yesterday's high, this becomes potentially magnetic. I think so. I hope so. It says 0 DTE. Let's do it again. Or maybe I had it right the first time. Something is looking screwy here, folks, right? 0 DTE. That's today. Let's try doing it the hard way. All right. I don't know why this says July 9th. Oh, okay. I had the look back window on. That's why it was wrong over there. Remember last night in the room, we were looking back at different. We were looking back at different setups and kind of reviewing how they played out the way they played out. Yeah, okay, yeah. So here's that same thing. We just have a little different, wider view. So yes. Are you seeing something different? And this looks right to me. Now everything looks right. So, oh yeah. So now it does look a little different. We have the 65 magnet here. Grind through the 70. Stall at the 95 area. 3,000 battle zone. Thank you, Joel. My man, 50 grand. Stall here at the 95 battle zone. If we can get over this little cluster of market maker short customer longs, then we kind of grind through this. It would be hard to grind up through past 63, 10, 15. And we got more stuff sold up here above that. So those are the clusters that I identified are like, well, they're there, and keep an eye on them. Check their deltas later in the day. If there's juice and you want to sell something up there, fine. Now, I spy with my little eye this fly-looking structure. So maybe, especially if we pull back, I might look at a 65, whatever, 75, something in here long, one wing, and somewhere in the middle, my other wings. If I'm expecting it to go up, or if we pull back, you can get it maybe cheaper, and then I just monetize those. Where's my next looking fly? We'll talk about that a little later. We'll play pinball later in the day at 3:30. Next thing we got down here, nothing jumps out at me at this moment, but we can look later. And so that's what I'm seeing here. Here's the heat map. 6140 is all the way down there, but that's not. So we got some. You see, we got some red in the background. So we have some market maker short customer long positions scattered around. They just make life a tad trickier, but also gives you some movement, which I know some of my buddies like Bad Hombre and all the other people who like to scalp and have movement. I'm going to change these to something that's not quite so ridiculous. 6330, and you could do that on options depth. Let's just change. Okay, that's fine. I just want to see the market maker's net, because that's what they have to hedge at the end of the day. And so here you can see pretty clearly what's going on. Let me zoom this in with that. Something like that. Oh, I didn't. Okay, so now this aligns with this. And where are we now? Let's take a peek. We're still stalling around 55. When's volatility come back? Volatility comes back after expiration on Wednesday, so I might make a guest appearance. Might make a guest appearance a little bit Friday, a little bit Monday, Tuesday ahead of expiration. Then it should start showing up heading into that, especially if you look at the curve, and I put the note in my Discord, a screenshot of the Barclays thing that's floating around on Twitter. It's showing how on next week when we have no, not next week, the following week, when we have GDP and we have the FOMC on August 1st, that's when we make volatility great again. Maybe not as great as before, not as great as April, but we have some movement coming up there. Okay. So again, here you can see real clean. If over 61, 62, 65. So some people bought out the money calls, let's just assume, from yesterday's close. Or whatever that's a hedge against, maybe in a larger book, none of my business. So we have that feature there. So if we could get a green open, if we can get green from yesterday, then we have this grind path. Like we said before, kind of have to fight our way through 85 and get up here and up here, then fight our way through all this. So this is just updated with latest data. Below, there's not a ton of stuff here to stop it from falling. We have the big thing at 35, which was the same number yesterday, and then we have another feature at 6220, which was the bottom of the straddle for Friday, and then 6200. And so those are the numbers, and you can see them here. And here's kind of a flip or inflection point, let's just call it, at 6240 level break. It's kind of like whatever flows are coming from the 35. And we got this little notch here. That's one break. There's another break on top where we go back into a suppressive zone. If it can break above all this, we have this little suppression here. We have a path of least resistance glide path this way if we can get on our horse, if the bulls can get on their horse. Okay, I think that covers the high points. It's the same thing. Where's this one? There we go. Let's take a look at Charm real quick. It's a little early for that. Then we'll look at then we'll just look at some trades real quick. And I might even get done at a reasonable time today. All right, so you see this? Let me zoom it in. Now let's get start like with the market open. Let's get the bounce. Well, we're not going up there, so let's give it a wide view, and then we can kind of talk it through from there. So possible pins below the yellow, blue, blue yellow border. So possible pins 80, the 70, 75 zone. That was what we saw expressed when we looked at the position numbers, just looking at it different. Kind of the round number pin right around 50 kind of makes logical sense. The sell-off pin, if the market gets nervous, if Trump says something that makes the market nervous, or some macro stuff happens in the background that takes us kind of to the bottom of the expected move, which today was 25, which is kind of muted. And then, of course, if things get really nasty, if VIX goes up to 16 and a half or 17 or whatever, then we could end up down in this zone. All right, let's go to my buddies at Gamma Edge, if I can find them. Here they are. While that's loading, discuss amongst yourselves. Let's see. Private chat. Was I looking at Gamma in our positions? Okay. Well, we can go back and double check that. Okay. So coming up, Vixpiration. I've been showing you this every day. Put OI. Not rocket science. We're buried below those puts. Market makers are short to hedge that. Now we're at 16. So now this becomes an inflection over, under, and now we get this dance between these levels. If over 17, it's between 16 and 17 with the 16.5 inflection right there. And so we all know that VIX is a calculation, not a look left moving average, kind of thing. So it's just relative to itself, not. Okay, so here's all the 20 calls that that people bought back when they were nervous, and that's going to be worthless if they sold them. Like I sold some of the 25s, whatever. Um, and here's where we are. So these are your VIX inflection points. Under, party on, Garth, especially 15.5, which I think we hit yesterday. Over, things might get just a tad dicey, not crazy. Here it gets a little dicier, and over 17 we get dicier still. Let me see what we have here. Is this gamma or is this position numbers? Let me see. Yes, that was gamma. Thank you. Well, that tells us where it is today, where it is at the open. Yes, and position numbers looks very different because the out of the money positions don't really matter. And looking at that position number doesn't change the inflection points. So the levels, it just changes the immediacy. So the stuff that's near the money are small. Here, good lesson. Are smaller bars. We still have that fly structure, but since it's close to the money, they have a lot more gamma. So potato, patata, however you like to look at it, it's giving you the same information. Holy moly, we got a bull in the house. We got a bull in the house. 6,300 today, or bust. Is that what you're saying? Or am I taking it out of context, which I easily could? Okay, let's take a quick look over here at an option chain. And what do I got going on here? And these are all trades. In this account, it's going to mostly be trades that I've done online, either here on YouTube or Twitter, or with my subscribers watching for science. These are trades that I'm doing so that you guys can learn. And so, and I always put on experimental trades. That's just been something I've done for a long time. So yesterday, at the end of the day, I put on this iron condor over here based on some secret sauce that I'm cooking up that'll be available to premium subscribers. I sold it for $1.25. It's 85 cents now. My version is going to be, I don't plan to be an icy whale. I plan to be a killer shark. And if I can sell it for $1.25 and close it for 85 cents or something like that, and scalp 35, 40%, whatever overnight, I'll take it. 61.50, OMG. Not today. We could buy it for 20 cents. I'm just going to guess that that's not today. So anyway, so that's 75 cents now. I think I have 65% buy to close in. But that's yesterday's story. What's today's story? So today's story was at 62.20 was kind of, as always, we'd like to be below, we meaning me, would like to be below the round number. Not enough juice there. But I'll put in one for 50 cents just in case something happens, a wish trade like I call it. A more realistic trade might be below the 20, depending how wide you like to go. So I'm just going to put this in. Obviously, I can't put one on top of the other. Let me just change this. Maybe a 10, 20 for 40 cents, or, depends on your risk parameters and how wide you like to go. Something like that looks reasonable. If we go back to the map, below this 20, if you want to be aggressive, below the 35. Nothing crazy about that either. The 20. So then the 20 or the 15 look kind of interesting. That looks kind of interesting too. And up on top, well, you want to do the 6,300 challenge for 50 cents. You want to be a little more circumspect and say, you know what? They want to give me 45 cents for it. I'll take it and I'll manage it. You could do that too. I put it in. Now, remember we saw that fly structure? I'm not right now, no. Maybe I am and I don't know it. That's possible too. It wouldn't surprise me. Let me take a look. It looks like I am, but I'm just, I'm muted. Okay. Okay. Anyway, getting back to where we are. So remember that fly? That fly is kind of haunting. It's worth a lot, all right? 65 becomes magnetic, so we could buy the 65. The 60 might be expensive. So 65, 75, 85 is an easy one, and then we can kind of look at it from there. So let's see what that looks like. 65, 75, 85 is a buck 40. I don't know. That's not horrible. It could, if you're not as bullish, you could do something like that. If you want to kind of give yourself a wider tent, 15, what's that? That's 15 and 15, something like that for 290. That's more expensive, but you have a wider tent and a better chance. If you want to just kind of play the cheapy lottery ticket for 35 cents, or play it here 65, 70, 75, saying it's going to be a flat open. I'm not, I'm going to go with a 60, 70, 80. It says a buck 50. I'll give them 80. I'll give them 80 cents to start and see what happens. And then we have other people screaming for the 50 area. Switch it to puts. Maybe something like that. Again, expensive, 95. Again, I'll be willing to put that in for 80 cents. No, I adjust these as the day goes on. A lot of times I just let them fill and then play with them. And that's that. Thank you. Yes, that is true. And thank you. Thank you. Shameless plug. Let me put my links in. Let me put my links in. We got Bad Hombre. We got some traders there trading alongside of us. Some scalpers. Let me put my links in, of course. There's my Substack. Here's the options depth discount link. I didn't show you Mentor Q. I'll show you that in a minute. I gotta get something from Gamma Edge also. And convex value, he hasn't gotten back to me because I use that sometimes too. I use a lot of stuff. I do this for a living, so I don't mind paying for tools. It's like a buddy of mine who's a carpenter, and he'll buy a saw blade or whatever it is. I don't know, a saw blade from a hammer. He'll buy a saw blade that he might use once in a while, but if he needs it, he'd rather have it and not need it, or use it once in a while than need it and not have it. And I'm the same thing. I have a lot of different providers, and I might only need them once in a blue moon, but when I need them, I'm glad to have them. So there's the links. And that's basically it, 908. Okay, well, there's a number of futures traders that are really good with futures. Some of them don't know a delta from a schmelter, don't really know much about options, or they know the basics, and they're coming, whether it's to me or other gamma services. I'm not like the only, I'm not really a gamma service per se, whatever, are coming to see this because it just, you look for the confluence. You get another edge. The more edges you have, the more things that line up. Just like when we were talking with Greg and Dan on Master Trader yesterday, live at noon yesterday. But I've retweeted it, and you could go to their YouTube and watch it, and I'll figure out how to get it on my YouTube one of these years if I can find a millennial or a Gen Z or a Gen X or one of those people to help me figure that out. And that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, and a lot of people are, and a lot of people have found a lot of value in it. Okay, on to Vol Sigs, and see you guys later. Remember, we'll be doing Pinball Wizard at 3:30 officially, but if I just kind of feel like showing up early at 3, I'll show up on YouTube and on Twitter for my paid premium, whatever. We'll be kind of looking at that intraday. There'll be intraday updates that come out. And yeah, a splendid time is guaranteed for all. For extra credit, what's that from? Anybody? Any baby boomers here know where that line is from? I'll give you a clue, like this will really help. And of course, Henry the Horse dances a waltz. For the benefit of Mr. Kite from Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, the Beatles. Okay. All right, guys, take care. Yeah, he trades futures in the room. You know, we have futures traders, true. We have Punk, who's not here right now, trades futures. So, yeah. Okay, guys, take care, everybody.